Today on the newscast on the 23rd of November 2015, I've got some interesting pieces, and unsurprisingly a couple of them are about the fresh out of the gate Star Wars Battlefront. Regarding some sales figures and some interesting statistics when it comes to the preference of platform among players. Let's begin with the platform, shall we? As stats have shown, there are more people playing on Star Wars Battlefront on the PlayStation 4 than on the Xbox One and PC combined. Now, this is according to pstats.com. Over a 24-hour period, there was a peak of 183,329 players on the PS4. And in that same period, there were 104,993 on Xbox One and only 48,292 on the PC. Now, of course, that is according to one website within a 24-hour period, and I will link the source website in the description below. So it's important to keep in mind that this is only a sort of snapshot at the start of what is probably going to be a fairly long life cycle if EA has its way. But it's still interesting statistics that it's so heavily in favour of the PS4. And of course, it's an indication of how it's sold on each platform, given that of course it just came out and this was over the launch weekend. Of course, quite a ways to go, and it'd be interesting to get some official statistics from the developer, maybe a couple of months down the line, to get a real sort of way up of amount of people play on PS4, X amount of people play on Xbox One, and X amount of people play on PC. But for now, we just got this little teaser. It's very interesting. Now, speaking of sales, it has had a unsurprisingly successful launch and has the best ever launch for a Star Wars game in the UK to date. It's the fourth highest launch of the year and outsold the previous best-selling Star Wars game, which was the Force Unleashed by 117% in its first week. Now, kind of tying into the previous thing that I just revealed, sales on the PS4 were higher in its first week than sales of Destiny on the same system, and that's according to Chart Track. Now, what's really interesting is that Star Wars Battlefront actually managed to knock the mighty Fallout 4 from its pedestal, and Fallout 4 actually saw a drop of rather staggering proportions, 80% drop in sales, and now sits at number 3, just below Battlefront and Black Ops 3. Rise of the Tomb Raider saw 37% fall in sales, making it number 5, just below FIFA 16 and just above LEGO Dimensions and Assassin's Creed. So, moving on to something that's going to be a little bit disappointing but hardly surprising, as Shigesato Itoi, who is creator of Earthbound, has unfortunately crushed our dreams of Mother 4 ever happening. In an interview with Game Watch Press, which was helpfully translated by Kotaku, Shigesato said that, making a sequel to Mother 3 would be, quote, totally impossible. And then he went on to say, quote, when I made 3, I thought I could do it. And he made a really interesting comparison to the music industry, saying, quote, among big-time pop stars, if they, put out 10 albums, around the 4th album, they can't make very good songs. The albums sell, but everyone at the concerts wants to hear songs from those first 3 albums. Everyone. Now, of course, it's very much an attitude of some AAA developers, not all, but some, to just churn out games relentlessly and just keep that money train going. And, Assassin's Creed has unfortunately kind of fallen victim to this and has really come down with a bad case of the yearly serialization, having negatively affected it. I feel like a break would be really good for the series, and while it's a shame that we'll never see an official Mother 4 or Mother 3 sequel, I can kind of understand where he's coming from, and hey, there's always the unofficial sequel if you're up for something. Lastly, got a little bit of an indication of what might be happening to BioShock. You may remember that Take-Two pretty much sacked all of Irrational Games and closed down the studio quite some time ago, leaving everyone kind of in limbo, wondering, what about BioShock? What's going to happen there? Of course, Ken Levine is still at the company. He was studio head, so they kept him on, but the majority of the talent was sacked, and as I just said, Irrational was closed. And Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick said to GameSpot, quote, the franchise is in the hands of 2K. They'll make announcements in due time about any upcoming releases, but BioShock is unquestionably a permanent franchise for our company, and one that we do believe in. And according to Levine, he's working on something, quote, highly creative and innovative. Could that be BioShock? Possibly. It could be something completely unrelated. But one thing we do know for sure, the fact that Irrational Games has gone the way of the dodo does not mean BioShock has joined them. I don't know if another developer could do BioShock justice. I think as long as Ken Levine's involved, the hopes are higher, but it still would be interesting to see how a new studio would actually handle that much beloved IP. Of course, they're probably not even thinking about it just yet, but it's nice to know that we haven't seen the last of BioShock. BioShock Infinite was one of my favourite games of that year, and while it was not exactly innovative in terms of its mechanics, it was very similar mechanically to the previous BioShock games. It was an excellent story, a fantastic story. Even if gameplay wise it was good, but nothing groundbreaking, and hopefully we'll see something from them soon. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.